Welcome to Spicer and Company. I'm Sean Spicer.
And I'm Lindsay Keith. Well, critics are slamming the president for planning an indoor rally, and there was even a lawsuit filed to stop it from happening. But you know, Sean, that hasn't dissuaded the Trump team at all.
Oh, no, not at all. And in fact, these same critics didn't seem too concerned with large gatherings the last couple of weeks. But as is the case, the show will go on, but with some precautions. This, of course, after you mentioned a judge denied the emergency request to stop the event. President Trump's actually going to now hold the first rally since this nationwide shutdown. And take a look at this. Although the rally in Tulsa isn't until Saturday, fans have been lining up for days, sleeping outside the BOK Center. Word is that there have been more than 1 million requests for 19,000 seats that are in that arena. In fact, the Oklahoma governor, Kevin Stitt, says he's asked the campaign to consider a larger outdoor venue to accommodate the massive crowd that's expected to attend. The enthusiasm has clearly been overwhelming. And here to talk about it and get excited about it is Lara Trump, senior advisor to Trump 2020 campaign. Lara, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be with you, Sean.
Man, this seems more like a festival than a Trump rally. I mean, these are normally pretty big. You know, you've got 15, 20, 30,000 people and thousands outside. But you've got 19,000 people that are going to get seats and up to 1 million that want to attend.
Yeah, I mean, it broke every record we ever had at the campaign for RSVPs for a rally. As you said, over 1 million people wanted to come to this. But I think you're right saying that it feels like a festival. I think for a lot of people, this isn't just a Trump rally. This is sort of like the reopening of our country. I think people feel like once we can get back and start doing things like this, life feels a little bit more normal. So it's going to be an awesome, awesome time on Saturday. I think the people, as you know, have been lining up for days now, which is no different than any Trump rally. But we are going to have outside the venue, because it does only hold 19,000 people, we're going to have this huge space. Everyone coming in will get temperature checked, masks, and hand sanitizer. And these people can stand outside. We're going to have big jumbotron. So if you don't get inside, stay in line, because it's going to be a real treat. And we're going to have a nice little surprise, I think, for all the people that are waiting outside as well.
You know, it doesn't get lost to me. I mean, I think Trump got something like 63 million votes last time. If you think about it, 1/60th of all the people are actually going to go to one event. And when you think about it in that totality, it's pretty amazing. But Lara, as Lindsay mentioned at the outset, there's, of course, the critics have to be critics. The media has to be who they are. And instead of being silent the last couple of weeks on all these social distancing with respect to all the big protests that have gone on around the country, suddenly now this is the one event that suddenly everybody's so concerned about. So just to make sure that you keep all the snowflakes happy, what are you guys doing to make sure that we minimize all the complaining that's going on the left?
Well, let me remind everyone, it is a choice for people to come to the Trump rally. Listen, if maybe you have a pre-existing condition and you feel like you might be a higher risk, maybe you want to skip this one and come to our next one. That said, we are offering everybody masks upon arrival at the Trump rally, hand sanitizer. We're checking everyone's temperatures when they come in. But Sean, your point is so valid. It's amazing to see how it felt like the mainstream media, by and large, was championing all of the protests across this country when those folks didn't have masks oftentimes. They certainly weren't doing temperature checks before they got out there to protest. Now, it is their First Amendment right to protest, and we obviously support that. But you can't say that that was acceptable. And by the way, in some of the cities that had the highest COVID rates in the entire country, yet suddenly a Trump rally rolls around and, oh, we've got to shut it down. The reason we chose Oklahoma, Sean, is because they were the first to completely lift their COVID restrictions. They did a really great job of making sure that people got back to normal and got into phase 2 and 3 of reopening very quickly. And that's why we chose the state of Oklahoma. So I don't think it's lost on anybody, though, the hypocrisy here. It's sort of what I guess we're all used to as Trump supporters.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it seems like, you get to go to the rally and basically get a free physical. They check your temperature. So, it's a double, you get a bonus there by going to a Trump rally. Lara, originally the rally was scheduled on the day before, which is Juneteenth. The president recognizing that and out of a lot of concern and respect for what that date meant, moved the rally. Do you think that in some ways, though, that the president's going to address some of this during a rally to talk about the issues, his EO, his executive order on police reform, the issues that are out there right now facing our nation?
Yeah, I think you can expect to hear, obviously, about the economy, about the masterful job that the president did with that in the first 3 years in office, Sean, and why he's the only person to bring that back. But of course, I think he's going to address exactly what we saw happen yesterday. It was such a historic day, I think, for this country. The signing of this executive order. Donald Trump did in 40 minutes, Sean, what Joe Biden and Barack Obama couldn't get done in 8 years. Joe Biden couldn't even get it done in 40 plus years in politics. Donald Trump did it. The Democrats have talked about doing stuff like this. They've talked about doing criminal justice reform. Guess who got it done? Donald Trump. So this executive order he signed yesterday is really going to bring the police force together with the community, make people feel like we're all one team, which is what it should be all along. It should have been that way from the beginning. Again, it's sort of amazing. Donald Trump is the man to do all these things, and I think you're going to hear him talk about it, why it was so important for him to do, and what he sees for the future of this country. Look, nobody wants there to be civil unrest. Nobody wants anyone to feel discriminated against in this country. But we also have to keep in mind that 99% of the police officers in this country are great people who risk their lives every single day to keep us safe and to make sure we get the freedoms that are allotted to us as Americans. So I think it was a historic day, a really huge thing, and I think we're going to hear more about it from the president.
I hope he does talk about it, because I addressed this with him when I sat down and interviewed him the other day. He's got the record, right? Joe Biden doesn't have the record. And the president, I think, ironically, not only does he have the record, but, Lindsay, you've been talking about this all week with guests. Local policing is a local issue. It's mayors and city councils that are controlled by Democrats. These are the people that people should be asking for reform. The federal government, the president sent in the DOJ and the FBI right after the killing of George Floyd. He stepped up. But these issues are local issues to be addressed by local police departments. And the president has gone above and beyond in terms of addressing them. And yet there doesn't seem to be any focus on the people who actually can control it. But let me shift gears for a second, because with respect to that, on this defund the police issue, Laura, I know you and a lot of women involved in the Trump campaign have been leading the effort to reach out to women and talk about the president's record on women. I think that this defund the police thing is going to turn off a lot of women. And that in 2004, this was a safety election between George Bush and John Kerry. The president made it very clear that he was going to protect the country. I think that right now, this is a huge opportunity for the president to speak to women and talk about how his administration is strong on law and order and going to make sure that they are protected and their families are protected, and really make that case to women.
Yeah, well, you're exactly right. And I think women are paying attention out there. Look, I live in New York. I live in New York City. And I said to my husband, when all of the protests were happening, what if we lived on the second floor of our building? We have 2 kids asleep in our apartment. It was already scary to deal with, but it is terrifying out there to see what happened over the past couple of weeks in some of our great cities in this country. To your point, Sean, all run by Democrats who let this crime run rampant, who let people burn down buildings, loot stores, destroy small businesses that were the heartbeat of those communities. When you talk about defunding the police, it is almost unimaginable how quickly things would devolve in this country. You saw in Minneapolis, the second the mayor said, get the police out of there, the folks in Minneapolis, you're on your own. It was a matter of hours before it turned into complete destruction of a beautiful American city. If we defunded the police all across this country, we would lose our country. These are the only folks that are keeping us from total anarchy, they're keeping law and order, and they are giving everybody out there that have been at these protests their First Amendment right. They're making sure that they're getting their First Amendment right to peacefully protest. It's very upsetting to me personally. I have law enforcement in my family. These are the people, Sean, that work the hours no one else wants to work. They don't know if they're going to come home every night to their families. And by and large, they are very good people. 99% of them, they hate the bad apples even more than we do. And they are happy with this reform and the executive order that the president signed as well. I think it'll help across all fronts. I
agree. Well, look, stay safe this weekend. I hope you guys have a great rally. I feel the people who got tickets must feel like they won the lottery right now. So I wish you the best of luck. I can't wait to hear how it goes.
Thanks, Sean. Good to be with you.
Good to be with you. Thank you. All right, well, stay tuned, because up next, Dr. Ben Carson, the Housing and Urban Development Secretary, will tell us how he is advising the president on race relations. Plus, a former NFL star tells us how he feels about the league embracing Colin Kaepernick and the national anthem protest. Plus, Trish Regan's back, and she's here to tell us how the mainstream media is playing doctor to analyze the president's health. We'll be right back.